Welcome to the story of Burkina Faso, a landlocked nation in West Africa known as the Land of Incorruptible People. From ancient kingdoms to colonial struggles, independence, and modern challenges, Burkina Faso's history is one of resilience and transformation. Let's dive into this fascinating journey, starting thousands of years ago. Burkina Faso's history begins long before modern borders. Around 3600 to 2600 BC, hunter-gatherers roamed the region, leaving behind tools discovered in the northwest. By 1500 BC, farming settlements emerged, using iron and ceramics, laying the foundation for complex societies. Fast forward to the 3rd century AD, the Bura culture thrived in the southwest, creating intricate settlements along the Niger River Valley. By the 11th century, the Mossi people, descendants of warriors from present-day Ghana, arrived. They established powerful kingdoms, including Ouagadougou, Tenkerdogo, and Utenga. The Mossi were skilled horse-mounted warriors and farmers, building a centralized society led by the Mogonarber, or king. Their kingdoms dominated the region for over 800 years, resisting conquest by the Marli and Songhay empires. The Mossi traded gold and kola nuts, connecting with trans-Saharan roots, and their culture, rooted in oral traditions, shaped Burkina Faso's identity. In the late 19th century, the scramble for Africa changed everything. European powers carved up the continent, and France set its sights on the Mossi lands. In 1896, French forces defeated the Kingdom of Ouagadougou, turning it into a protectorate. By 1904, the region was part of French West Africa. The French named it Upper Volta, after the Volta River's 3 tributaries, the Black, White, and Red Volta. Colonial rule was harsh. The French imposed taxes, forced labor, and military conscription, sparking resistance. The Volta-Barni War of 1915 to 1916 was a major uprising against colonial oppression, but France's superior firepower crushed it. In 1919, Upper Volta became a separate colony, only to be dismantled in 1932 and split among Ivory Coast, Mali, and Niger for economic reasons. After World War II, anti-colonial movements grew, and in 1947, Upper Volta was restored as a French territory. On August 5, 1960, Upper Volta gained independence, with Maurice Yumiogo as its first president. But freedom brought challenges. The young nation faced poverty, illiteracy, and political instability. Yumiogo's rule turned authoritarian, and in 1966, a military coup led by Sango Lamizana ousted him. Lamizana ruled for 14 years, balancing military and civilian governance, but economic struggles and droughts plagued the country. In 1980, Colonel Say Zerbo seized power in a coup, only to be overthrown in 1982 by Jean-Baptiste Ouedraogo. These frequent coups reflected Burkina Faso's search for stability in a poor, landlocked nation reliant on subsistence farming and gold exports. Meanwhile, young military officers, inspired by socialist ideals, were plotting change. In 1983, a 33-year-old captain named Thomas Sankara led a popular coup, becoming president at the height of his charisma and vision. Often called Africa's Che Guevara, Sankara renamed the country Burkina Faso in 1984, meaning a land of incorruptible people in Mossi and Dioula languages. His goal was to break free from colonial legacies and build a self-reliant nation. Sankara's revolution was bold. He launched mass vaccination campaigns, built schools, and planted millions of trees to combat desertification. He promoted women's rights, banning forced marriages and encouraging women in government. To curb corruption, he made officials' bank accounts public and cut lavish government spending. Sankara also rejected foreign aid, pushing for local food production to achieve self-sufficiency. But his radical policies made enemies. His Marxist-Leninist stance alienated traditional leaders and foreign powers like France. Internally, his committees for the defense of the revolution clashed with trade unions, and austerity measures sparked unrest. In 1985, a brief war with Mali over the mineral-rich Argachère Strip added tension. On October 15, 1987, Sankara was assassinated in a coup led by his close ally, Blaise Compaoré. The revolution ended, and Compaoré ruled for 27 years. His regime brought stability but was marred by authoritarianism and human rights concerns. The 1998 murder of journalist Norbert Zongo, who criticized Compaoré, fueled public anger. Economic woes, worsened by the Ivory Coast Civil War, led to riots in 2008. In 2014, Compaoré's attempt to extend his rule sparked massive protests. He fled to Ivory Coast, and a transitional government took over. In 2015, Roch-Marc Christian Kaboré was elected president, promising democratic reforms. But Burkina Faso faced a new threat: Islamist insurgencies spilling over from Mali. Attacks in Ouagadougou and the north displaced millions and strained the government. By 2022, frustration with Kaboré's handling of the insurgency led to 2 military coups. In January, Paul-Henri Damiba took power, but his failure to curb violence prompted another coup in September, led by Captain Ibrahim Traoré, who became interim president. Traoré, Africa's youngest leader, has aligned with Russia, cutting ties with France. However, the insurgency continues, with over 2 million displaced and 40% of the country outside government control. Burkina Faso remains one of the world's poorest nations, with a young population, median age 17, facing food insecurity and limited education. Yet its cultural richness, from Mossi oral traditions to the Fesparco Film Festival, endures. Since assuming power in September 2022, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, Burkina Faso's interim president, has pursued bold economic reforms to achieve self-reliance and sovereignty. His policies focus on nationalizing resources, boosting agriculture, and reducing foreign dependency, resonating with a population frustrated by decades of external influence and economic stagnation. These reforms, inspired by Thomas Sankaра's legacy, aim to transform Burkina Faso's economy despite ongoing security challenges. A cornerstone of Traoré's reforms is the nationalization of the gold mining sector, Burkina Faso's primary export. In 2023, his government took control of 2 industrial gold mines previously operated by foreign companies, such as Endeavour Mining, through the state-owned Sopermib. Traoré halted unrefined gold exports to Europe, inaugurating a national gold refinery in November 2023 to process 150 tons annually, creating jobs and increasing revenue. This move, coupled with a February 2024 suspension of small-scale gold export permits to curb illicit trade, aims to ensure that gold wealth benefits Burkina citizens. The government also granted a mining license to Russia's Nordgold in April 2025, projecting $89 million in state revenue. Agriculture, the backbone of Burkina Faso's economy, has seen significant investment. Traoré's administration distributed 400 tractors, 710 motor pumps, and 68,964 tons of fertilizer, leading to record cereal production of nearly 6 million tons in 2024. Rice production rose from 280,000 to 326,000 metric tons between 2022 and 2024. The establishment of 2 tomato processing plants and a second cotton processing facility has boosted local industries, reducing reliance on raw exports. These efforts contributed to GDP growth, 7% growth in 2024. Traoré's rejection of Western financial institutions marks a shift toward economic independence. He cleared Burkina Faso's for $7 billion external debt using gold revenues and renegotiated trade deals, freeing funds for infrastructure, healthcare, and education. He rejected IMF and World Bank loans, declaring, Africa doesn't need the World Bank, IMF, Europe, or America. Instead, Traoré forged ties with Russia and formed the alliance of Sahel states with Mali and Niger, prioritizing regional partnerships. Governance reforms include reducing minister salaries by 30% while increasing civil servants' pay by 50%, enhancing public sector morale. Infrastructure projects, such as the Ouagadougou-Donson Airport and the Sisinarb SA cement plant, underscore Traoré's focus on long-term development. Despite these achievements, challenges persist. The jihadist insurgency, displacing over 2 million people, diverts resources, and Traoré's authoritarian measures, including media crackdowns, raise concerns. Yet, his reforms have reduced poverty from 26 to 24% and earned him widespread support, particularly among youth. Traoré's vision of a self-sufficient Burkina Faso challenges neo-colonial structures, but its success hinges on balancing security, governance, and sustained economic progress. Burkina Faso's history is a testament to its people's strength. From the Mossi kingdoms to Sankara's bold vision and Captain Ibrahim Traoré's economic reforms, the Burkinabé continue to fight for a better future. As they navigate poverty, conflict, and hope, their story reminds us of the power of resilience. Thanks for joining Planet Policy on this journey through Burkina Faso's past and present. Stay curious, and see you next time.